Hello everybody, this is SuperFang99. Before we begin, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click the notification bell to be notified when I post a new video. It really helps out the channel. We have just unboxed all of the Feast of Hemlock Vale content, investigator, and campaign expansion. If you want to check out that unboxing, you can find it up in the card right there. Today, we're going to be going through every single player card, and I'm just going to be giving my quick thoughts on them. If I have more to say, I will say more, but in general, this will be pretty brief. So I'm going to move these over here, and we shall get into it. I'm super excited about this campaign. Let's start with the investigators. All right. So we got Wilson Richards. He's 3s across the board. He can reduce the resource cost of the first tool asset he plays by 1. He gets +1 skill value while resolving skill tests on tool assets, and his Elder Sign effect is something. You can swap some tool stuff. Ad hoc, you can do an additional action on a tool while it's equipped, I believe. After resolving an action ability on an attached asset, exhaust it, discard a tool or weapon asset from your hand, resolve an action ability on the discarded asset. Okay. And hasty repairs, while triggering abilities on assets you control, set your base skill value to 0, and you can double action discard. Wilson, I believe, has the tool deck building. Yep, so he has tool cards 0 to 5, guardian 0 to 4, and improvised and upgrade cards 0 to 1. So, thoughts on Wilson. I think he's okay. I think his deck building is interesting. The weird thing about him is that most of the tools right now, at least, are kind of clue focused. Things like flashlight, old keyring. Obviously, there are some good tool weapons, especially coming out in the expansion itself. You got like the pitchfork. There's also the chainsaw, of course. So I don't really know how to feel about him. I'm down to try him out. He does seem like all the stats are good. I don't feel like he has a way to take advantage of his 3s across the board. For example, some of the rogue stuff, albeit I guess he could take lockpicks, because that's a tool. But yeah, I think he's pretty neat. All right, moving on. We got Kate Winthrop. So, Kate Winthrop, she has Trish's stat line, 2-4-2-4. She begins the game with the Flux Stabilizer inactive side face up. Sorry about the glare there. And the inactive side just means that after a clue is placed on it, you flip it over, and you also get one of the etheric currents, her other signatures. And then once it is flipped over, you have a reaction to get +2 value on your next skill test. And she has a free trigger to move clues from her to science or tool assets that she controls. And here's our 2 etheric currents. They're basically enemy management tools. So, first of all, you move all the clues back to Kate. So that's actually good, because you need to put those clues back on to be able to get that bonus again. And then for this one, you evade. For this one, you fight. And you use either the intellect for both of the stats instead of the one that is normally there. And if you succeed, so for the Etheric Current, you actually shuffle into the counter deck if you succeed, which is a lot better. And then Etheric Current is you exhaust it and you can move. So still pretty good. And then otherwise you flip the Flux Stabilizer and you're done. So here's the thing. Oh, also Kate, of course, has the science cards, 0 to 4, which are mostly a seeker anyway. She does have some inside card deck building as well. I think that Kate is actually a really good seeker. I don't think she's broken like other seekers, which I guess is a good thing at this point. Yeah, I'm actually playing her for my blind playthrough of Hemlock Vale, and I'm super excited. I love that she comes kind of with innate enemy management, and it's not enemy management that feels broken. There are good effects, obviously, but you still need to use, you need to take skill tests and get your intellect to decent values in order to actually do the stuff. And they actually do replace themselves and don't cost themselves. The only real cost is putting a clue on the Flux Stabilizer to basically not, do anything else. And then you have to shuffle into your deck. So you have to find the cards, right? So that's that. I think she's really good. I don't think she's amazing, but I think she is very good. And I'm excited to play with her. Oh, of course, I should mention her weakness. Failed experiment. It's a blunder. Test 3 willpower. This test gets +1 difficulty for each asset you control with a clue on it. For each point, my apologies. For each point you fail by, you must either take a horror or place one of your clues on your location. That is pretty bad. Her willpower is only 2, and most likely you're going to have at least 1, if not 2, because you're going to have a clue on the Flux Stabilizer most often, probably. And so that's either a lot of horror or you're dropping clues. Dropping clues isn't the worst, obviously, because you can just pick them back up, but it is A thing to think about. All right, next we have Alessandra Zorzi. She's the Parlay Investigator. 3-4-2-4. Really good stat line. Additional action each turn to parlay, and her elder sign is something that I don't remember. If you see, choose a non-elite enemy location or reveal can automatically evade. Okay. And she has the Carolyn deck building where she gets all of the parlay cards, as well as Rogue, of course. She also gets 3 copies of Beguile, which is a very good card in my opinion. Obviously, so you attach it to an enemy, a non-elite enemy, and then you can take an action to parlay to move the enemy to revealed connecting location, or you investigate or evade at its location, and she can activate this from anywhere, which is insane. So you can like have an enemy evaded off in the background forever and leave it alone, in like a hunter, for example, and just like automatically evade them over and over again so that they never move. You can have some investigate, so you can do kind of like summon servitor shenanigans where you drop a enemy at a location that you're never going to come back to just like farm victory, basically. Or you can just move enemies into other people's places. Enemy movement, we have learned, is always good, as noted by Sinead Beauregard. She does have her one weakness, which is Zamakona, which is a very annoying weakness, I think. 3/3/3, elusive, so after it attacks someone or someone attacks it, obviously if they're still alive, they're going to move to a connecting location with no investigators and then exhaust it. So that is very annoying. And also, Alessandra cannot parlay with Zamakona, meaning that she can't get rid of him in easy ways like we have in other player cards, for example. And the first time that Alessandra Zorzi parlays each round, doesn't even matter where she is, put a doom on Zamakona. This guy is a big threat that needs to be handled literally immediately. So that's pretty tough. So she might need to take cards like Backstab, or other players might need to take some 3 damage attacks to be able to deal with him pretty easily. I think she's really good, though. Next, we have Kohaku Narukami. He is a 4/4/3/1 Scholar, Blessed and Cursed. Yes, we have a true paradoxical investigator, not counting parallel Wendy Adams, of course. As a reaction, you either add a Curse or a Bless, whichever there are fewer of. So he's trying to basically even out the Curse and Bless tokens in the bag, or he can remove 2 of each and get an additional action on his turn. That is sick. His deck building is Blessed and Curse 0-5, Occult 0, which is interesting, Mystic 0-3, so no level 5 Mystic cards, or level 4 even, and neutral cards 0-5. He does come with the Book of Living Myths, which I actually think is an insane card. Basically, whenever you would reveal a Chaos token, you can exhaust it and just search for a Curse or Bless, whichever there are more of. So you're going to basically consume it, trying to get it back so that the count is tied again. And this is basically like an infinite Favor of the Sun / Favor of the Moon, if you can finagle it correctly. I think it's very, 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 very good. And this also doesn't need to be during a skill test. It can just be whenever you would reveal. So that could be during like the Rod of Carnamagos, for example, or the Voice of Ra, because that tabooed Voice of Ra, because that has symbol counts for all symbol tokens. I think that's insane. Of course, we do have the Weeping Yurai. It is a 2/2/2 enemy, aloof, elusive, and hunter. It preys on Kohaku after an enemy reveals a Blessed token or a Curse token during the skill test at the Weeping at its location. If it's ready, it attacks an investigator. It only has 2 health. It does have aloof though. Kohaku can take advantage of that by just, running cards like Spectral Razor, or cards like Ufuda that would be able to blank either elusive and aloof, or Hunter. No, I think that it only blanks Retaliate and Alert. I could be wrong on that. We'll check on Ufuda when we get to it. I ultimately think it's not too bad. The 2 horror can be bad, for example, but it is a kill on sight weakness as always. But I don't think as bad as something like Zamakona, for example. Okay, and finally, get to my boy, Hank Sampson. He's the farmhand. His stats, 3-1-5-3. It's the Mandy stats. He is the librarian. No, I'm just kidding. What's her title? The researcher? I think that's her title. Anyway, his stats are insane. A real fighter, if anyone were to claim that title. You may be assigned damage or horror dealt to ally assets or other investigators at your location. That's pretty sick. Reaction: when you would be defeated by damage or horror, you instead heal all your damage and horror and swap himself with the Resolute version. You'll notice he only has 5 and 5. I'll get to his deck building first before we go over the Resolute versions. He just gets simple Survivor cards and then Innate and Spirit cards 0 to 2. However, let's talk about his Resolute versions. He has two versions you can choose from. You can either choose to be the more smart one, I guess. He has 3/3/4/4. You can't be healed, and whenever you take a horror, you draw a card. He has 4 and 6, or he can become the strongman. Look at that number; it's a 6. And also +1 willpower, which is insane. Same thing about this. But whenever you take a damage, you get 2 resources, and he has little swapped health values. Yeah, I love it. I love Hank Sampson. I'm thinking that he's going to be really good. Let's look at his signatures. He has one copy of Stout-Hearted. You play it whenever you engage a non-elite enemy. You can move up to 2 damage or horror from Hank Sampson to that enemy as damage. Notably, the Resolute version says that you cannot heal. You can still move damage because that does not count as healing. And as always, we have, where's Parr? He died. So basically, an enemy is going to spawn out of the encounter deck. The enemy is going to gain elusive, and every round, as long as the enemy is still alive, Hank Sampson is going to take a direct horror. Ultimately, I don't think it's too bad. It does spawn at a connecting location, which is not like Jenny's weakness or Zoe's, which are at the farthest from all investigators. So it's pretty manageable if you just get an enemy and then go and fight it. Obviously, you could pull like a 5 health enemy, but normally not so bad. I think Hank is very good. I'm excited to see him out. All right. Now let's get on to the rest of the player cards. Starting with the Guardian cards, we have Ancestral Token. After you defeat an enemy, you exhaust it, add blesses. I think that this is probably one of the stronger or more powerful or easiest way to generate blesses other than just like a temp fate. Stick it on a Guardian, passively generate blesses, don't need to be Sister Mary anymore. Very good. Cleaning Kit. It uses 3 supplies, and supplies on it can be spent as if there were supplies or ammo on other assets you control. I love it. I want it so bad. I'm actually kind of thinking that the accessory slot might become more competitive for the Guardians just because of these 2 cards alone. But I love Cleaning Kit. It's a better Venturer, and Venturer themselves was always not so great. But slap it on a shotgun, slap it on more chainsaws. You can refill it with emergency cash level 3. Love it. I think it's awesome. Katana. So Katana is a 2-handed weapon. You get +2 to fight, and if you succeed by exactly 2, you deal +2 damage. And there is also a fast way to exhaust it and fight using agility instead of combat. So I think the thing about Katana is that we don't really have a good person that can use this. Ideally, we want to have succeed by manipulation in order to more consistently get that succeed by 2 stuff. And I feel like the best class that can take advantage of this is Rogue. So Skids can take this, for example. But I don't even think it's really that good in Skids. Because, yes, he can get the 4 fight with a fast attack with an agility. But I feel like there's better 2-handed weapons than this. I think it's not great, but I could be proven wrong if a new investigator comes up that could take this and can take advantage of it. Like, for example, if Winifred could take this. Never mind, because she has to succeed by exactly 2, which is actually hard for her. She usually succeeds by a lot more than that. All right, next we get to Ofuda, which is the thing I was talking about earlier. So yes, it has a charge, and you replenish charges whenever you reveal a blessed token. Replenish this charge the first time a blessed token is revealed at your location each round. Okay, so only 1 per round. And yeah, you choose an enemy and you spend a charge to blank, alert, aloof, elusive, and retaliate. So it doesn't blank Hunter, importantly. But I think it is actually pretty good. Blanking all of those keywords can be good, especially if they have more than 1 of those keywords. For example, Zambakona? Is that what I'm talking about? No, the Weeping Uri. I think that's actually a great way to deal with his weakness. Wolf Mask. I actually do think that this is probably the best one of them. You get 2 offerings to start. You replenish an offering each time you engage an enemy, which for Guardians, that's going to be literally every round, if not twice a round. And you get +2 fist or +2 agility. That's insane. Love it. Great card. I'm going to take it in most of the Guardians now that I play, most likely. Absolution. So you reveal 3 tokens along with X more, depending on how much you pay. For each non-symbol token, you add a bless. For each bless, you heal a horror from an investigator or ally at your location. It ultimately is just bless generation, but for a pretty high cost. It is also horror healing, but I feel like there are better ways to heal horror. I think it's just okay. Next, we got Guided by Faith. So this one is an investigate. You can use brain instead of book. Before revealing, you can add 2 blesses. If you reveal a bless or an elder sign, you discover an additional clue. It's a little unreliable. I wish there was a better way to make sure that you had those blesses. It's kind of like a blessed blade on a stick, but specifically for clues. I feel like there are better ways to get more clues, but I guess if you're going full bless, it's not a bad flex card. Please, I'd love for you to not make that noise. That was very loud. My apologies. All right, next we got Hold Up. Parlay. What's a parlay card? You choose an enemy location and an item asset in your hand. You perform a fight. If you succeed, instead of dealing damage, you play the chosen asset, reducing its cost by each point you succeeded by. This is Unearth the Ancients. Level 0. I don't think it's that good. I guess if you have fine clothes, you're like, oh, I succeed by 2 more, so I get to. It's an economy card, and also, but you still have to pay the action to parlay, and I guess it skips the attack of opportunity if you need to get it out. But again, I think there are better ways to do this effect, better economy cards, better all around. Maybe yes, it is flexible in that sense, but you also have to have the item asset in your hand, so you can't just gain the resources now. It's kind of meh. All right, next we got Task Force. What are these boys up to? This is a double. So this is a... they actually had this trait on 1 card in Scarlet Keys. Double implies that it has the text as an additional cost to play this. You must spend an additional action. Meaning it takes 2 action to play this. I actually had like a homebrew player card idea that had this, but keyworded to be like slow instead of fast. And it just meant that, it meant that if you had slow and fast, they basically just cancel each other out and just cost 1 action. Anyway. So, you can choose an investigator at your location to resolve an action ability, lowering its action cost by 1. You can move, and you can discover a clue. I think it's actually pretty alright. I like the clue thing. It does take 2 actions to do all 3 of these things, but, I mean, it can be good if you can line it up. It's a little tough to line up, but I think it's alright. Next, we have Tinker. It reduces the attached tool asset by one of the hand or accessory slots. I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's amazing, but I think you'll know if you want to have those, if you have a lot of tool assets that you want to play. Next, you got Purified. You may commit Purified. You add a bless or remove a curse for every point you succeeded by. Again, better bless generation. I do think that ultimately Ancestral Token will most likely generate more because you still have to put stuff into this. Like, if you put nothing else, you might succeed by 0, and you'd be like, okay, well, I guess I did nothing. Doesn't give any icons. So it needs some work, but it can be good. All right, we got Hand-Eye Coordination. You resolve an action ability, or actually, this is the first XP costed card in the Guardian, so that's cool. Resolve an action ability on a tool or weapon asset you control without paying its action cost. So it's giving you an action. I think it's okay. It is fast, and you also get to not have to take that action, but it doesn't, if you can't like sledgehammer. You can. It would just cost you 2 actions instead of 3, which I guess could be good. But again, there is also the other Guardian card in the Nathaniel Cho starter deck that does something similar to this, where you're ready and then you take a fight on a Guardian asset or something like that. I think it's okay. Again, it's not amazing, but I think it's okay. Next, we got Strong Armed. I am so excited for Strong Armed. You can commit it to a melee or ranged... technically you can commit it to anything. But if it's committed to an attack using a melee or ranged asset, it deals +1 damage. And you can take a damage to cancel revealed chaos tokens. Even the auto-fail. This card is like, not bonkers good, but I love it. It has innate, so Silas can take it. I love it. I'm going to put this in all the decks I can. Because more Vicious Blows is always good. All right, first upgraded card from a previous card. This is Second Wind. It costs 0 now. You can still only play it as your first action, but you heal 2 damage 3 damage instead if you draw the treachery and you draw a card. So it costs 1 less, I believe, and it heals an additional damage. I like it. I would take it in the decks that I would play him in. So, for example, Mark Harrigan. But I also think that it's not amazing, but it is pretty good. 2 XP is not nothing, though. But level 3, cleaning kit. Yes. So it comes with 4 supplies now. Has the same effect, and it has this other reaction. You can exhaust it after you spend a supply, and you get +2 for that test. Yes! Yes! It's good. I think it's really good. Alright, we got Blessed Blade. Level 4 upgrade from the Innsmouth card. You can fight. You get +2 combat for this attack, and it innately deals +1 damage. That already, excellent. Even for 4 experience, that is very good. Only costs 3. That's very good. However, you return each Blessed token revealed during this attack to the Chaos bag. Before revealing Chaos tokens for this attack, you may exhaust Blessed Blade to add 2 Bless tokens to the Chaos bag. So, return each Bless token revealed during this attack to the Chaos bag. So that means it has the innate Sacred Covenant text, where even if you resolve Blesses and get their effects, they go back into the bag instead of leaving the bag. And also, of course, you can exhaust it to add more Blesses. I think it's great. Is it worth 4 XP? I think so. I think it's like it rivals Holy Spear in that aspect, because it does have the reliable +1 damage. All right, we have the Eyes of Velusia. Really cool card. So you can parlay and you choose an enemy. Until the end of the round, each investigator gets +1 skill value while fighting, evading, or parlaying with the chosen enemy, and you put a resource on the Eyes of Velusia as a charge. Unfortunately, just because it doesn't have uses charges, I don't believe that Akachi can take this, so that is a little sad, because Akachi would actually love this, I think. Anyway, you can search your bonded cards for Blade of Yoth and swap it with Eyes of Velusia, moving all charges from the Eyes of Velusia to Blade of Yoth. And here is that card. Basically, the more charges you have on it, the better. Because you can spend 1 to 3 charges, you fight, you may use Bright instead of Fist, you get +2 skill value and deal +1 damage for each charge spent. Oh, it's good. And then, of course, you can just swap it back. That's amazing. So basically, you have to sync some actions parlaying. You get a little bit of a bonus to then, but then later on, you can just unload on like a boss enemy, for example. I think it's very good. I think it's not like game breaker. It's not like a Cyclopean Hammer, but it is very good. Next, we got Flurry of Blows. It's a 5-cost event. Better be good. It is a double. You fight. You choose a melee asset you control and take an immediate fight action with that asset. And then you do that 3 times. Okay. So, importantly, it doesn't have the Lily Chen thing where it has to be different melee assets. It can be the same melee asset over and over and over again. You only ignore its action cost. So, Sledgehammer would still require you to spend 2 actions each time, except for the top one. Obviously, that's free. But for something like a regular Cyclopean Hammer, you can just go bonk, 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 and then you have to end your turn. Is it worth 5 XP? Is it better than 1-2 punch? I think that's the real question, because this also is a double. It's tough to say. I'm kind of leaning on the side of no right now, but who's to say? I think it's maybe okay. I don't know if I would actually take it, though. All right, last card we have Miracle Wish. Play after 1 or more Blessed tokens are revealed during a skill test at your location. You find Evanescent Ascension. You put it into play. You put X resources on it as wishes, where X is the number of Blessed tokens that were revealed. Then you remove them from the game. You get Evanescent Ascension, which does take an arcane slot. Whenever an investigator would fail a skill test at a location, you can spend a wish to have them resolve their Elder Sign instead. So it is similar to having a U Catastrophe on a stick, because that one specifically requires you to go to 0 skill value, but this just says fail, so it's actually better. Also, you need to reveal a lot of Blesses for this to be worth it, because this is a 5 XP card and U Catastrophe is only 3 XP. So the thing is, I would probably want to reveal at least 3 or 4 Blesses, and you'd have to also be running an investigator that has a really good Elder Sign. Obviously, Father Mateo, obviously someone like Silas Marsh or Will York, Nat Cho, parallel skids that can really take advantage of their Elder Sign. Other than that, though, it is just failure protection. And I think that's all right. It's not amazing, but it is all right. Okay, let's move on to the secret cards now, shall we? We have a chemistry set. It's an accessory slot. You can exhaust it to investigate. And if you do some stuff, fail by exactly 2, discard it. Succeed by exactly 0, you get 2 resources. Exactly 2, draw a card. Exactly 4, you discover an additional clue. I think with the cards in this set, this card does get better. It's not amazing, but I do like that there is an investigate on an accessory slot as opposed to a hand slot, for example. And I also like that it doesn't have charges. So you can just do it over and over again. Basically, you're replacing a basic investigate, and you're going to be basic investigating a few times anyway. So I think it's pretty all right. Dr. Charles West III. He knows his purpose. You have an additional hand slot, which can only be used to hold a tool asset. I love that text in Seeker. Seekers have tons of clue tool assets. After you successfully investigate by exactly 1 or 3, you exhaust him, you deal 1 damage to an enemy at your location. So that does fill out the rest of the space of the chemistry set. So it has 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 for effects that you can do. I actually think it's pretty good. Is he Dr. Mile and Christopher levels? I don't think so, but I think that he is a very good substitute, especially if you're running a lot of tool assets. For example, someone like Kate Winthrop probably has a bunch of tools that she can put clues on. Also, I think he is science traded. He is science traded, so she can put tools on him. Clues on him, I mean. Microscope. Hey, it's a tool science card I was talking about earlier. So after an enemy at your location is successfully evaded or defeated, you can exhaust it to put a resource on it, and then you can double action investigate. You get +1 for this investigation for each evidence on Microscope, and if you succeed, you can spend up to 2 evidence to discover that many additional clues. So you can take a double action to discover 3 clues, which isn't amazing, but it is better than basic investigating. Especially if you're going to be investigating a location over and over again, and you have a big intellect boost as well. I think it's pretty good. All right, next we have the Mouse Mask. So this is similar to the Wolf Mask. You get to replenish it after you reveal a location or put a new one into play, and then you can spend offerings to get willpower or intellect. Obviously, these 2 are the best stats to get bonuses to, as seen from higher education. This is, though, the hardest one to replenish. I think it's okay. Of all the masks, I definitely think it's the worst, which is really saying something. I think it's good, though. I would definitely take it if I was playing Seeker. All right, then we got the Ravenous Myconid. We have our unidentified card for this cycle. We missed one in Scarlet Keys because of all the customizable cards. Right? I'm not crazy, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure we didn't have an unidentified card in that one. Anyway, so you can take an action to search your bonded cards for Uncanny Growth, and you need to get 3 growth on the Ravenous Myconid and activate it as an action to successfully identify it. Here is Uncanny Growth. It's just an investigate, and then you put resources onto the Ravenous Myconid equal to how much you succeeded by. Importantly, it still costs 1. So there is some amount of investment to be able to do this. And minimum, you're going to be taking 2 actions to find it and then investigate with it. And you still need to succeed by a lot. So actually, I think this is fairly tough to translate / identify. I think it's easier. It's easier than Archaic List, for example, that requires minimum 4 actions, or 3 actions, I should say. This one also technically requires 3 actions. This one, but it could take more, right? It's also tough because it doesn't give you a skill boost, so you need to make sure that you succeed by it enough. I think it's still reasonable that you can do it, and also it's definitely worth it because the other Ravenous Myconids are very, very good. All right, moving on. Control Variable. Fast. Play after Investigator reveals a curse token at your location. Discover a clue. It only costs 1. So, in my opinion, I really like this card. I will admit, I think... So, a lot of people are comparing this to Working a Hunch, right? And yes, it is only a 1 resource cost discount from Working a Hunch. And it requires a condition to reveal a curse token. I think that is worth it. I think it's better than Working a Hunch. I also think that it is on par with a card like True Understanding, where you can kind of just get clues out of nowhere. I think, in my opinion, this can kind of just get clues out of nowhere. I like it. Maybe I'll come back because the one resource cost is something. If this cost is 0, obviously this would be amazing. But that is my opinion. Also, because I think that you can play this during other people's turns, right? Working a Hunch requires you to play on your turn. I think it's worth it. My opinion, but we shall see. I'm going to be trying out in my Kate Winthrop deck. All right, so next we got Testing Sprint. It is a double. You can investigate, and you investigate one at a time your location and each connecting location in ascending order of Shroud until you fail or you have investigated all of them. I think this is kind of a meme, in my opinion. Maybe if you have the what is that? The hemispheric map? Is that what it's called? The one that gives you bonuses depending on how many adjacent locations you have. It's a meme. In my opinion, it's a meme card. But maybe we'll see someone who does something with it. I think it's just okay though. All right, next we got Thorough Inquiry. It's the other double. Investigators rate location draw 5 cards total. I think it's good. I think that I think 2 actions for 5 cards is worth it. That is very good. Obviously, if you have you have to have the downtown. But I think it is good, and also it has great icons if you can't play it as well. So I think it's good. Next, we got Throw the Bookadum. So you fight, you choose a tome asset, and you can get combat for the thing's cost. If you succeed, you either automatically evade or you can resolve the action, but whatever. I don't think people need this. It's fine. It kind of feels like an act of desperation, but you're not actually discarding it, and you're not actually getting any resources off of it. So it's just you're fighting, and you're maybe activating it also, but you can just take the action to activate it. But I guess it ignores tax opportunity. I don't know. It's meh. All right, Transmogrify. I think this card's cool. You can evade using your book instead of intellect. Sorry, your intellect instead of agility. And if you succeed, you attach it. The attached enemy gains massive. It cannot move. And then after you evade this enemy, you discover a clue. So you do have to constantly evade the enemy. Which, in theory, what does Beguile say again? Perform and evade actions. So, like, you could do that with, like, Alessandro's Beguile to evade it over and over again. But you can't automatically do it. You need to make sure you keep doing it over and over again. I think it's ultimately not worth it, but maybe I'm wrong. It is cool, though. All right, well-funded. It has a wild. It gets more wilds based on if you have more and more signs and tool assets. You'll know if you want to take this in Kate, most likely. All right, on to the upgraded cards. Gabriel Carrillo. 4 cost, 1 experience. You get +1 intellect. Start of your turn, add a curse token to the chaos bag. You draw a card. I think this guy's insane. Free card draw is very, very good. That 1 curse is not going to matter, or if you're in Seeker, might even help you because you want the curses in there. I think it's insane. I think that he is better than Jeremiah Kirby, in my opinion. It means that you don't have to build your deck around him as well. He is only 1 XP, so you could definitely like upgrade into Jeremiah, from Jeremiah, for example. Question is he better than Dr. Mylan Christopher? Non-taboo Mylan Christopher? Obviously not. Taboo Mylan Christopher is 1 resource extra turn better than 1 card extra a turn. In my opinion, no. I think cards are worth more than resources. Yes, this does require you to get a curse, but maybe that's a good thing. I think that he is better than Mylan Christopher level 0 tabooed. So, the question is, does that XP make it worth it? I think that in certain decks, absolutely. In most decks, I think maybe. We'll see how he pans out. I really do like him. Alright, next. Steady-handed. So this is the way that we manipulate the succeed by stuff. Whenever you succeed, you exhaust it, and you can succeed by either 1 more or 1 less. If you succeed by exactly 2, heal a horror. So with Charles West and the chemistry set, you can better control what you are actually doing with it. I think it might be necessary for those kinds of decks as well. Luckily, it only costs 1. It is an asset, so you have to put into play. I think it is good for those specific decks. Next, we got Fine Tuning. Attach it to a tool or science. After attached asset exhausts, you can exhaust Fine Tuning to ready it back. This is a question. I think that I would put this on something like Steady Handed because that's a science asset to get more uses of it. The question is, I mean, again, you'll know when you need this because you need to be able to know whether or not you have stuff that you want to ready again. And if so, I think it could be pretty good. It only is level 1, so that's pretty good. All right, so next we got Esoteric Methods. Hey, that's 4 wilds. Promise of Power. However, after the skill test ends, you add a curse for each point you succeeded by or point you failed by. That's a lot of curses. If you're looking to generate a ton of curses, this card is for you. Otherwise, not sure it's worth it. It's definitely worse than Promise of Power because it does cost 1 XP. But again, if you want the curses, then yeah, obviously take it. All right. Next, we have the Prismatic Spectacles. So this is Blessed Blade, but for curses. You add a curse, you get +2 skill value. If a curse is revealed, you get an additional clue if you exhaust it. Obviously, if you're going curses, very good. Confound. Okay. Level 3 Parlay. Enemy location test intellect X. X shows enemy evade value. You see, discover two clues at your location. Then, if the chosen enemy is not only automatically evaded, it is not ready, so it freezes it. I think it's all right. 3 XP is not nothing. I think it's okay. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's okay. Okay, but this is amazing. Level 4 Microscope. So the important changes from the level 0 version is that it doesn't exhaust to place a resource, so you can do it more than one time. You get +2 intellect for each evidence, and you can spend up to 3 evidence at a time now. Double action to get 4 clues is very, very good. I think this card will see play in all the decks that can actually that are good with it. If you can reliably get that evidence on it, it's very good. All right, we have our 3 upgrade paths for our Ravenous Myconid. Starting with this one, I believe this one you can cancel non-weakness treacheries if your location's shroud value is less than or equal to the number of the Ravenous growth. What is the growth? Yeah. This one defeats not only enemies with their health, and this one heals damage or horror. Is it just damage? Damage or horror, or moves it around. So good for Hank. Obviously, I think the enemy one is better. I think this one is good, but I think that the enemy one is better. It does remove all the resources, so you can't stack them over and over again. But it's just innate enemy management. Very good. All right, that's all the secret cards. We're doing pretty well, I think. Let's move on to the rogue cards. We're almost halfway done. Bianca de Katz. So she uses 10 resources. You can exhaust her and parlay to move up to 5 resources from her to your resource pool. Then you test Agility X, which is the amount you stole, quote unquote. I guess we're loaned. If you fail, she becomes Bianca de Katz, the weakness. And if you want to, you can pay her back the amount you stole, but only the last amount you stole. So any other increments are fine. It does take an action to do that. I don't know if it's worth it, but maybe. In theory, Preston Fairmont, no. Because, okay, I believe this is the case. Preston cannot take illicit cards. He can take criminals, right? She's a criminal. So he could take her, and that action, these resources do not go to his family inheritance because it's just moving, if I recall. Could be wrong. I think she's okay. Blackmail File. Not only enemy location, you parlay, test willpower X enemy's printed health value. If you succeed, disengage against aloof. That's right. I think this card is kind of meh. It's kind of bad. Yeah, I don't think this is worth it at all. That's my opinion on that card. Okay. British Bulldog. I love this card. 3 cost action. It's a firearm. You can spend an ammo. You may use agility instead of combat. Deals +1 damage. Love that. And after you fail a skill test from a parlay, you can just put it into play. I love that. Good flavor. Really good card. I think it'll see play in a lot of decks. All right. Next, we got fake credentials. So you choose an enemy location, exhaust it to get and you parlay to get to test intellect 1 +1 difficulty for each suspicion on fake credentials. If you succeed, you discover a clue and you place a resource as suspicion. If you fail, you either must discard it or the enemy attacks you. Obviously, really good in Alessandra. She can keep the difficulty low. I think it's pretty good. Obviously, it kind of has charges. So I would just treat it like it has charges, honestly. All right, next is the Fox Mask. You can do it for intellect or agility, and you can replenish after you move out of a location with an enemy. I do think you're going to have to finagle that a little bit. You know, make sure that the fighter doesn't kill them before you leave or take your turn first. But I think it is pretty good. I think it is very good. Love it. All right, we got the Scrimshaw Charm. You can add curses. You get a resource plus an additional for each token that you added. So if you do 3 curses, you can gain 4 resources. You can do it repeatedly so it doesn't cost cards like an emergency cash would. I think it's kind of okay. Again, if you want the curses, though, it is very reliable curse generation. Next, we got our first double for the Rogue. Bank Job. You gain 8 total resources. It does cost 2, so net gain, you're going to gain 6. For 2 actions, that is 2 emergency caches. Only 1 card, though, so I think it's fair. I don't think it's amazing, but it's pretty all right. False Surrender. 1 cost. Parlay. Enemy at location. Play a weapon asset from your hand, reducing its cost by 1. Just 1, I guess. You may then... Oh, right, because it costs 1. That makes sense. Then you may fight using the weapon, and you can use your agility instead of thing. It's kind of like a sleight of hand. You can put out the old shotgun with this to get 2 ammo on it. It's okay. I don't think it's amazing. It doesn't require a test, at least, which is good. Like that other card. Yeah, it's pretty good. All right, next we got Grift. It's a parlay. Choose an enemy. Test agility 0. Each one you succeed by, gain a resource. If you fail, the enemy attacks you. Card's great. Don't draw the autofail. It's great. All right. I'll pay you back. So you choose another investigator. You get all the resources. Anything around you, they get everything else. I mean, it's a meme card, right? I'll take that. It's the teamwork. It's a teamwork card. So it's for the people who love teamwork. I think this is fun. Otherwise, I don't think it's great. Next, we got Stir the Pot. Parlay. Choose an enemy at your location. Test Intellect X, where X is the chosen enemy's combined damage and horror values. If you succeed, you deal 2 damage to each enemy at location. See by 2 or more. After this effect, you may move to a granting location. I think it's pretty good. Yeah, obviously great with swarm enemies. It's pretty alright. Vamp. Obviously, this is going to be an Alessandra card. She can do any of these things. Any of these things are pretty good for her, so she can remove Doom from like a Doom enemy. She can discover clues. Probably not to deal 2 damage because she doesn't really have good combat. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. Next, we got Diabolical Luck. Whenever you reveal a curse token, you can commit it from your hand. I actually do think that it is very good, especially for running curses. It's kind of like having a scrying mirror or one of the covenants. And I think it's good. Yeah. Pretty good. Light-footed. This goes to blah, blah, blah. Okay. You may automatically evade another enemy allocation. Okay. It's going to be tough because it's hard to have 2 enemies at a location that you want to evade at the same time. But I think it's okay. It's a good trick, obviously, for Rita. It's practiced. Amanda could take it and evade everyone. That's going to be tough. Okay, it's okay. All right, moving on to XP upgraded cards. We got the level 2 British Bulldog. So this one, you get +2 skill value. You also ignore the aloof keyword. I love that. Yes. So good. And then the same text. I think it's good. I think it's really good. 3 ammo, yes. Not a lot of ammo, but I love it. I'm going to take that card. It's great. Next, we got Snitch. After you succeed at parlaying, you get to discover 2 clues from among location and connecting locations. It is a look what I found for parlaying. Kind of. I know I'm not like stretching, but it's good. If you're going to be parlaying like Alessandro, you're going to want to take this. That is really good clue compression. All right, so then we got Bewitching, aka Trick to the Plan, as everyone in the community is saying, which I do agree with. You get 3 different trick cards onto this, and then whenever you engage an enemy, you can either draw one of the attached cards, or you can search the top 9 cards of your deck for a copy of an attached card. So this does incentivize you to play both 2 copies or even 1 copy. If you just want to play 1 copy of the tricks you want, put them on Bewitched, draw them whenever you engage. If you want to take 2 copies, keep one of them in your deck and then search for them using the Bewitched. I think it's really cool. All right, our last second double for Rogue's Dirty Deeds. Additional cost to play. You must spend an additional action. You can search your deck for an illicit card, and then you put it into play, paying its cost. You take an action on it as well. It is 3 XP. I don't know how worth that is because it does just put it into play and you take an action, so it ultimately equalized actions. But it is a tutor. So, like, if you have that one illicit card you want, like a huge gun, for example, I think it's worth it, basically. Okay. Upgraded Vamp. You do them all instead of just choosing one. Great. Love it. If you want it, take it. Fake Credentials level 4. So now the base difficulty is just 0. And then if you succeed, you discover a clue. And also, if you do not succeed by 2 or more, you get a suspicion. So if you succeed by 2 or more reliably, this will be remaining as a test 0 as long as they're in an enemy location. Very good. Is it worth 4 XP? I don't know, but it might be. Last rogue card. Stir the Pot. You could parlay. Same test. However, you deal X damage to each enemy location. Whew, level 5 event. That is tough. I don't think this card's worth it, but I could be wrong. Maybe there's some shenanigans. It is a level 5 card. That's so hard to say. Yes, you're maybe dealing like 4 damage to every enemy location, but like when is that ever going to be worth it? I don't know. Alrighty, we are on to the Mystic cards. So let's get it straight into them. We have the Cat Mask. We're almost halfway done, by the way. Actually, we're over halfway done. This one, you get Brain and Fist. You replenish all of them. So the 2, when the Doom is put in a card without Doom. Love it. Love the stats. I love the Fist on it. It's really cool. Cool card. All right. Then we get to probably one of my favorite cards. It's the Rod of Carnamagos with the 5 Rot cards. So you choose an enemy. So it does require an enemy at least. You reveal 5 tokens. If you reveal a curse, you get to randomly attach one of the Rots to them. We have the Abyssal Rot, which the attached enemy cannot attack. We have the Amber Rot, which gains, after it's defeated, you gain resources equal to its printed health. You get the Putrescent Rot, which the enemy gets -1 fight, -1 evade. Honestly, probably the worst one. Got the Scarlet Rot. At the end of the round, it takes a damage. And then we have the Virescent Rot. Attached enemy cannot move. This card is really fun. I'm so excited to play with it. I am super excited. Love it. Only level 1 per deck, so it's going to be hard to find it. But if you can, it's good. Speak to the Dead. Spend any number of offerings. You parlay. Choose a spell or ritual event in your discard pile and reveal tokens from the Chaos bag equal to the number of offerings spent. If at least 1 skull or curse token, you get to return the chosen event to your hand. So, I think that any event-based mystics are going to love this, especially if they can go heavy curse. Agnes maybe doesn't need to deal as much damage to herself as she needs to. Parallel Agnes, I should say. But obviously, you can just find your ward of protections and deny existences back, as long as you have these skulls and curses to support it. I think it's okay. It does require actions to do it, so it's not like it's free, but it's pretty good. Okay, we got the Wicked Athame. Okay, so this is also kind of like Blessed Blade. There's so many cards in here that are like Blessed Blade for curses, Blessed Blade for clues, Blessed Blade for curse clues. Add 1 to 3 curses. You get +2 for each token you add. If it defeats an enemy, you replenish a charge or offering on an asset you control. That's really cool. I love the 1 damage assets that Mystics can take because it smooths out the spells they need to have. So like against a 3 health enemy, they don't need to commit to having Shriveling 5 in order to deal with it. They can do a Shriveling and then Wicked a Thame to get the charge back. I think it's really cool. All right, the first Mystic double, we have the Antediluvian Hymn. Reveal the top 5 cards in encounter deck. For each card revealed, you may add a curse token to the chaos bag or to place that card on the bottom of the encounter deck. Return the rest in any order. I honestly don't know what happened with this card. This is not worth 2 actions. This is maybe worth an action. I don't think it's worth 2. Because you're just going to see the cards again, most likely. Like, we go through the encounter deck pretty fast. Maybe in true solo, but if you're taking 2 actions to do nothing in true solo, that's kind of tough. Like, there are better ways to have encounter deck manipulation, in my opinion. Also, it costs 2. It's bad. I think it's bad. Next, we have Drain Essence. So, it's kind of like an attack, but you actually are parlaying with them, and then you drain them for damage. So, you move damage from you to them up to 2 if they're non-elite. I think it's cool. It's not as good as Spectral Razor, obviously, but if you are worried about the damage on you, it can be good. All right, we have Accursed. You add 3 curses to the Chaos Bag, but you treat them as 0 during the skill test. I think it's cool. Again, if you want curse generation, it is good. It is good. All right, then we have Mesmeric Influence. It adds the Read the Signs text to anything. Keyword or location, so it can also ignore or retaliate and stuff like that. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I think it's okay. Apologies. Okay, let's get into the upgraded cards. First one, Miss Olive McBride. Level 2. You reveal 4 tokens and choose 2 of them. Awesome. Love it. I think 4 choose 2 is so much better than 3 choose 2. For example, 3 choose 2 could be like, oh, well, I drew the autofail and then 2 other tokens that are going to have a -6. I just die. But with 4 choose 2, you actually have a reliable way of like, okay, probably one of them is going to be a 0 or -1. Or searching for even more curse or bless or symbol tokens, as always. Very good. Very, very good. And then we have the upgraded Rods of Carnamagos. You'll notice, not limit 1 per deck, so you can have both of these as long as you don't have the level 0 ones in your deck. Now, you reveal 5, and for each of them, you get to choose which rots you want to attach. So good. There's so many. I'm excited. So good. And yes, I know that there's conversations about whether or not you can do this during a skill test to reveal stuff. For example, like the other cards that care about if you reveal during an attack. I think, in my opinion, I think it works, and they'll have to clarify whether or not it doesn't work. But for now, I'm gonna be trying it out, and we're gonna see how it works. Okay, level 2, Call the Beyond. So you have to put 3 curses in the bag to play it. Choose an asset you control with uses, charges, or uses secrets. Replenish all of that asset's charges or secrets. Then you may resolve an action or lightning bolt ability on that asset without paying its action cost, if any. It's kind of like Knowledge is Power. You add 3 curses. You do replenish a lot of secrets, so obviously you can put 6 secrets on the Necronomicon if it's empty. I think the thing about these, it's tough because you're worried like, oh, usually if it's empty, you're okay with like replacing them or discarding them. I mean, it is good. It does take an action. It does reduce the action if you want to take it. If it's a fight action, it doesn't ignore attacks opportunity. I think it's okay. Level 2 is kind of tough for that effect, but it does cause 0 as well. All right, then we got the upgraded cycle of the Dream Eater's spell events. So we have the Ethereal Form, Read the Signs, and Spectral Razor. They're all the same. They all get a wild icon, I believe, and they all have the text that if a symbol was revealed during the test, you get to return it to your hand. I think they're amazing. Love them. Taking them. Love them. Definitely worth 2 XP. Get that repeatable effect. All right. Second Mystic double event, Ethereal Weaving. Reveal up to 3 different spell events from your hand, one at a time. Play each revealed event, reducing its cost by 1. While resolving each of those events, you get +2 skill value. I think if you are playing Parallel Agnes, you want to take this card because your entire hand is most likely going to be spell events. Otherwise, I don't know what circumstances you would have a hand with this card and 3 other spell events. Maybe 2 other spell events. Maybe. But most likely, you're going to have 1 other one. I don't know if that's worth 2 actions. I think it's good in Parallel Agnes. If we have another Mystic that could take advantage of the event-based stuff like Parallel Agnes, I think this could be played in them. But for now, I'm not so sure. All right. The Key of Solomon. Oh, this card is awesome. I just remembered this card. So yeah, free trigger. If there are more bless than curses, you remove a bless, and then you heal up to 2 damage and horror from an investigator or ally at your location. Excellent. If there are more curse than bless, you remove a curse, and then you gain 2 resources. Amazing. This is just Kohaku's ability on a stick, and Kohaku's gonna love this. Just like add a bunch of curses, turn all the curses, remove them, turn them into value. I think it's so good. Love it. It's a free trigger ability. It's not an action. Love that. So good. And our last Mystic cards, Seal of the Elders. So, play after a skill test at your location ends, in which at least 2 curses or 2 blesses were revealed. If 2 curses were revealed, you summon the Servant of Brass. If 2 blesses were revealed, Keeper of the Key. And if both, then you do both. And then you remove them from the game. It's the Mystic, what's the freaking agency backup. I think it's really cool. Obviously, you can't do them as free trigger like the agency backup, but it just requires you to reveal a curse or a bless. Also, it doesn't require them to exhaust in order to do their effect. So, if you reveal a curse multiple times, you can technically trigger them each time, since you are going back to the steps each time. So there is a window not a window, but the reaction will trigger each time. So in theory, you could deal 8 damage around with this. Or, of course, they are not ally assets. So actually, I don't think you can, so you can't heal them. But maybe there's a way. I don't know. But yeah, I think they're really good. Obviously, 5 XP is something. But they're good. Okay, we're almost done. We got to get through the Survivor cards, then the neutrals. Survivor cards. Matchbox. You get -1 Shroud at your location to exhaust it, and it discards itself, which is like anything in Survivor that discards itself now is so good. I love this card. It's so cheap. You can play for 0 with Bob Jenkins. -Shroud for tested 0 archetype. Love it. Great. Make it. Take it. So good. Pelt Shipment. While it's in your hand, you reduce the max hand size by 3. It's also in your hand, so it's kind of like it reduces by 4. And then when the game ends or you resign, if it's in your hand, reduce the experience cost of the next new card you purchase before the next scenario by 1. New card. So that doesn't involve upgrading, so it has to be a new card, but it would be something like if you exile the card and then you rebought it, that's a new card. So maybe it's kind of like you are getting some more exile stuff, maybe? I think it's kind of okay. It's obviously not as good as the Mystic XP cost reduction ones because those are permanent. But, yeah, it's also, I mean, obviously it's not as good as Delta 2D, but maybe it is. I don't know. I don't really know how to feel about it. Pitchfork. It's a tool weapon. Gets +2 damage. Hey. But you have to put it you put it on your location. You have to take an action to give it back. Obviously, someone else could take it, technically. Excuse me. I think it's good. It does take 2 hands. So it's kind of like a baseball bat in that sense. You kind of just cycle through them. But it's a very Survivor weapon. It deals +2 damage, which is like, it's good. If you can get it back, it's good. All right, we got the Sparrow Mask. It gets you Brain and Agility, which are defensive stats. Very good. And then you replenish them whenever you take damage or horror. You're going to be doing that. Excellent. Excellent card. All right, our first double. Elaborate Distraction. It doesn't provoke attacks opportunity. For each enemy or location in each connecting location, you automatically evade that enemy if it's non-elite, or you deal a damage to that enemy. That's a lot of enemies. It is, in theory, like a cunning distraction, colloquially known as a turkey. But this does take 2 actions to do. Don't know if that's worth it. I'm going to say it's meh. Push to the Limit. It's another improvise card. Choose a weapon or tool asset in your discard pile. Resolve an action ability on that asset, ignoring all costs. After it resolves, you shuffle it into your deck, and you do not provoke attacks opportunity. Love it. Love it. So good. Yes, kind of interferes with scavenging, because scavenging would be able to put it into play instead of shuffle it back in your deck. But if you're a fighter, for example, like Yorick, that doesn't usually play scavenging, this is a way to get cards from your discard pile back to your deck. I just noticed that Willie Yorick doesn't have this problem. But for other survivors, like, I don't know, Daniela could take this as one of her 0 cost things. But, like, you know, all the stuff that discards itself for fighters, you know, survivor fighters. Like Hank Sampson, for example. I think it's very good. All right. We got Patrice in the art, stalling for time. Parlay, choose an enemy location next to Willpower X, blah, blah, blah. If it's not a lead, it's not ready. Blah, blah. Okay, it just freezes them. Fight or evade value. Okay, I guess if you don't have good ways to evade, this is good. Oh, exhausted, but do not disengage from it. I do like the reminder text. It's not elite. It's frozen. Maybe it's parlay, so maybe Alessandra, but it's. All right, we have our second double for survivors. Move up to 5 damage or horror from your investigator to assets controlled by investigators at your location. For each asset defeated by this effect, you draw a card, then you remove it from the game. So this is a Hank card, especially in Resolute form where he can't heal. What are you dumping this on? Obviously, it means you could dump direct damage that you took onto Jessica or Peter. You could dump it on other people's stuff, I guess, which is hilarious. I think it's okay. I don't know if it's worth 2 actions, though. But it does cost 0. It has good icons as well. It's kind of like a Perseverance. Like a proactive Perseverance. It's okay. But we got the Long Shot. I love Long Shot. I love the art of Long Shot as well. So you can commit this to a fight or evade at your location or connect location. You deal a damage if it's successful. Love it. It's a survivor vicious blow at level 0. Yes, Silas is gonna freaking love it. All right. Now on to the survivor XP cards. We have a hatchet, level 1. Fight. Add your agility to this. Add your agility to the attack. It deals +1 damage. If it defeats an enemy, you discard it. So a way to get it back would be pushed to the limit. But if it doesn't, you lose control and it gets attached to the enemy. And when it is defeated, you can take control of the hatchet. Or at least someone can when it's defeated. Very survivor weapon. I think it's a lot of fun. Is it amazing? No, but it is level 1, and it does reliably deal that first 2 damage. So it needs to be comboed with other cards in order to reliably get it back as well. It is also only one-handed, so you can have 2 of them. Persistence. You may commit it to the next. You may commit it to a skill test from your discard pile. If you do, shuffle it into your deck after the skill test ends. Love it. I'm going to take this in min, obviously. This is great in min. It will commit for your discard pile, then go back in. You'll have a reliable way to get wild icons. Very, very good. Next, we got Devil. Not the Devil, just Devil. When your turn begins, you have to move a damage from your investigator to Devil, and when it's defeated, it blows up. Amazing. 2 damage to everything. I don't know if it's good, but I think it's funny. Love it. Upgraded Fire Axe. Hey! The only difference here is that it's fast. I think it having fast is worth 2 XP if you're running Fire Axe Dark Horse build. I think it's worth it. It's good. Hunting Jacket. So you exhaust it and choose a non-weakness card in your hand to attach to Hunting Jacket. Then you gain resources for each card attached to it. And then when it's defeated, you draw the attached cards. So it's just resources that you're getting. You can get a maximum of 6. I believe it's the case that you can't put more on. I could be wrong. There's that whole Diana Esperance ruling that's kind of weird. I do believe that you can only put 3 on. So 1, 2, 3. That's 6 resources total. So you're going to be gaining 4. It also gives you soak, and then you can get the cards back as well. I think it's interesting. I don't know what I think about it. It's, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Upgraded Mariner's Compass from Innsmouth. It only costs 2 this time. During the exhaust, if you fail, it actually readies itself, which is excellent. I think it's very good. Obviously, if you're running Mariner's Compass, you're going to want to take these. That 1 resource discount is very good. Survival Technique. It actually has 2 functions, kind of weirdly. So it has the Ashcan Pete rule, or ability, where you can choose a card you own that's attached to your location. You can put it back in your hand. So I was thinking about Kate Winthrop. Like, she can pick back up shortcut level 2s. Because why not? But also, during a skill test on a location or a treachery attached to your location, you exhaust it, you get +2 skill value. So skill tests on locations include basic investigates. Specifically basic investigates, not other investigate cards, for example. Because those would be tests on those cards. I think it's cool. Is it worth 2 XP? Probably if you're doing that stuff. I mean, if you're doing Ashcan Pete stuff, it's very good. For sure. Upgraded Keep Faith. Cost 0. Love it. Blesses. Good. If you want them. Next is Providential. If it succeeds, you add a bless for each damage and horror on you. Whichever is less. Well, Calvin, huh? Calvin! Add 5 blesses, huh? Does have good commits. Level 2, though. Not sure about that. I feel like there's better bless generators. Upgraded Token of Faith. So, same thing. But if it fails, you can have the investigator attempt to test again. This is auto-fail protection. You do have to resolve the effects of the failed test. So, maybe you don't want to do that. But it's good. And lastly, level 5, Permanent Dark Horse. If you're playing Dark Horse, you play Dark Horse. It's the deck archetype. I think you play this. For sure. Maybe you can get some, No, you can't. I was just thinking wolf pelts. Or pelt shipments. But if you have a level 0 in your deck, it's an upgrade. And you wouldn't be able to purchase it. Sag. It is Dark Horse, though. Okay, we're on to the last cards. We're almost done, I swear. Let's talk about neutrals. Eldritch Tongue. It's an asset. Ritual. You can play events with Parlay from your discard piles if they're in your hand. Additional cost to do that, you have to spend a charge from Eldritch Tongue. And also, after that event resolves, you remove it from the game. That does kind of suck. But I think that it's probably worth it at level 0 at least. It's probably better because if you want to be able to recur the parlays, I don't know in what way you would do that, but maybe. I don't know. Obviously, this is an Alessandra card, so she will take it. Our last double, bide your time. Spend 2 actions now. Get 2 actions on your next turn. Don't know how good it is. I do like the commit. I do like that it costs 0. Maybe? Level 0 borrowed time kind of thing. Well dressed. Wild icon. But if it's during a parlay, it's a promise of power. If you're parlaying, very good. This is also a tech card for all the parlay scenarios, like Threads of Fate. And if you're parlaying with a Shaka, for example. Dawn Star. Level 1. Cost 1. After revealed chaos tokens during a skill test. Ignore each curse. For each curse, deal a damage. I think it's really cool. It's kind of like a covenant, if you think about it. It's kind of like the rogue covenant, where it ignores this the modifiers of the curse. I don't know how good it is, but I think it's cool. I would want to try it out. Just deal some damage out of nowhere. Occult Reliquary. So it's an extra either arcane hand or accessory slot, but only for blessed and cursed assets. If you want it, take it. Says Ariana Grande. Last card. The Twilight Diadem. You can only have one. You can only have one. It is a mask. After a skill test at your location ends in which both a blessed and a curse are revealed, place a resource. You have to do that 3 times. Then you get the Twilight Diadem. When you reveal either a blessed or curse during a skill test, you spend an offering, exhaust this, treat the revealed token as an Elder Sign token instead, returning it to the Chaos bag. Then it would swap back to the broken diadem. Question is a 5 XP card worth not running any of the other masks in your deck? I mean, okay, that to say, it's not like you can't run more masks, but you wouldn't be able to have both in play. And obviously, this is going to just cycle over and over again. You want to have it have passive value, so the other masks are basically blank at that point. I don't know. I mean, again, it is just more Elder Signs, so anyone who has a really good Elder Sign is going to want to take this. Father Mateo, I'm looking at you. And it has to be when you reveal. When you reveals. What's Kohaku's Elder Sign? Add a bless and a curse. I mean, it is +2. It is, again, it's just more passing tests. So I think it's okay. Lastly, we have our basic weaknesses. We have a maimed hand, a back injury, a silver moth, and the Vow of Driztelect. They all take up one of the slots. Hand slot, body slot, accessory slot, arcane slot. They all have a double action to discard, which is the only way you can get rid of them. These 2 get you -1 health. These 2 give you -1 sanity. And all of them have the revelation ability to put them into play. Or you can immediately take a damage or horror to shuffle them back in your deck in case you are worried about what it's going to do to you. I actually really like these weaknesses. I think they're really coolly designed. I think that it's good that it's fairly basic how to get rid of them. Right? It's not an End of the Earth weakness where it requires healing in your deck. It just requires 2 actions. I also like how it doesn't deal you... the health minus health sanity, it can be relevant. Because it can kind of kill you without being able to deny it. I think it's cool. You can't deny the damage, for example. And it has a built-in way for you to avoid its negative effects and kind of wait for it later. So it's cool. And I think that, if like these slots mattering for their perspective, like horror or damage dealers, is really cool. Obviously, having this one be taken in a Guardian class, I actually like that it's balanced, that most Guardians don't have the sanity to deal with this effectively, even though the arcane slot isn't as bad. And like most Seekers who don't use the body slot at all, basically, are going to have less health, so it's also bad for them. So across the board, I don't think that there is any of them that are truly blank, maybe with some exceptions for some investigators. But across the board, I think they're all pretty relevant, either for their slots or for their minus health or sanity because of who the investigators are. Okay, we did it. Oh my god, we did it. This video is over an hour long. I thought it was longer. Whew, we did it. I am super excited about this campaign. Most likely it's going to take me a few weeks to start putting out episodes for it, just because I'm going to be doing a blind playthrough with my local group before I go into it. But look forward to when that happens. If you want to know when that happens, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click the notification bell to be notified when I post a new video. It really helps out the channel. This has been SuperFang99, signing off.